everybody, it's Dusti Martin with Platinum Living Realty. Today we're going to talk about what's happening this month, April 2024, in the real estate market for the city of Scottsdale. So hit the subscribe button, buckle up, let's go. All right, let's just get right into it. Our active listings are up 18.7% over this time last year, but our sold listings are down a little bit more at 16% over this time last year. With all that said, though, our median price per square foot is still up 6.8% in the city of Scottsdale year over year, which is slightly above average for normal 2 to 4% appreciation that we would usually consider as normal, right? So we're doing a little bit better, but I think this is a step closer to a more historical norm and hopefully trending away from the crazy stuff that we've seen the last few years. With all that said, our median price per square foot this month is just over $408.12. This time last year, we were at about $382 a square foot. So that's actually good. And you can use that to kind of guess where your property might be if you own just a regular average home. Now, our months of supply, though, is up a lot from this time last year. This time last year, we had very little inventory at 2.41 months of supply. This month, we are up 41.3% over this time last year at 3.41. However, that's still a seller's market. This time last year, everybody was kind of freaking out. We were having our normal yearly frenzy, but things were, for lack of a better term, crazy, right? And so we did see prices jump a little bit last year, even though we're still seeing that this year, which is ironic since we have more inventory. But our median days on market is down 7.8% over this time last year. We went from 51 days last year to 47 this year. So, I mean, that's what, 4 days faster? And so the takeaway here is that, yeah, we're selling less homes, but the homes we are selling for more money and they're selling faster than they did last year, even with more inventory. So that tells me our interest rates are a little more desirable. However, there might be less people who qualify now that things have settled, but also I think there's more insecurity in the future of the market simply because of what's going on with the DOJ and NAR and how that's going to shake out for home buyers and home sellers. If you have questions about that, I'll put a link below on what we do know as of now with my latest update on that lawsuit in terms of real estate commissions and what it would mean for buyers and sellers. But let's just try to stick with the market fluctuations and move forward. So this is the part of the video where we usually take a little bit of break and we shift our focus from the entire city and every price point overall, and then we break it down by price point, because I think we can all agree that somebody looking for a $500,000 or $600,000 home is not the same type of buyer that is looking for $1 million or $3 million or $56 million home. And so knowing the differences in these markets in the city of Scottsdale, if you're looking to buy a home here or if you're looking to sell your home, knowing what you're up against is super important. That's why we do this part of the video. All right, so like I said, out of all of our inventory, we're sitting at 3.41 months of supply. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, 4 months or less is a seller's market. The closer you get to zero, the hotter that seller's market is. So then we look at the $0 to $100,000 price range, and we don't have any data, mostly because we don't have any inventory, and we haven't had that inventory for a while. So unfortunately, nothing to report there, mostly because the market has moved past this point the last few years. We do have good news, though, in the $100,000 to $200,000 price range. As we were discussing for a couple months prior to this, we did see some bulk up in inventory prior in this price range that would, on its face, look like it was a buyer's market with over 8 months of supply, and in some cases 12 or 16 months. But like I said, I looked into that and what was happening, and a lot of those people who were just kind of on the sidelines trying to figure out what to do, didn't have to sell, who were looking into these co-ops. There's a lot of co-ops in a specific community near Old Town Scottsdale, and they just kind of had a bump when interest rates went up. Everybody was a little uncertain about whether or not they should be pulling out cash to buy these co-ops. Because remember, these co-ops, they are not financeable, or at least not with a conventional loan. There are certain loans that you can get that can be approved through the complex. But for the most part, you can't get like a regular VA, FHA, or conventional loan on them. They certainly don't qualify for USDA. And with that said, that leaves cash or 1031 exchange. And then on top of that, usually when you go into a co-op, it's not like a condo. You actually have to be approved by the residents and the community and the committee that manages it. So it's not one of those things where you can just buy the condo and be like, yep, I agree to the CC&Rs. It's something you actually have to jump through a couple hoops. So that buyer pool is much smaller. And so when those people sit on their cash, or they don't take their cash out of another property somewhere else in the country and they don't buy them, they pile up pretty fast. But they've made a huge recovery, and we're now sitting at a pretty hot seller's market at just over 2 months worth of inventory. So what have I been saying the last couple months? Spring is here, our snowbirds are here, our seasonal residents are here, and they are going to be buying. And what do you know? We had a drastic swing from a very strong buyer's market into a super hot seller's market for that price range and that inventory. So then we look at the $200,000 to $300,000 price range, and we are at 3.11 months of supply. That's a very strong seller's market. It's not crazy. You won't see people getting rid of their appraisals or anything like that, but you will probably see multiple offers. Same with the $300,000 to $500,000 price range. We're at 2.79 months of supply. And then we move on to the $500,000 to $700,000 price range, and you're at 1.94. So less than 8 weeks worth of inventory, meaning if no new homes came on the market, it would take less than 8 weeks for every single one of them to get snatched up. When you have that scenario, you are going to see a lot of multiple offers. You're going to see larger down payments. You're going to see more as-is contracts. You may not see people waiving their appraisals, but you might see people not asking for repairs as much, and you might see people having to offer over list price. So yes, it's going to be very competitive in that price range if you are buying or selling in that area. Now we look at the $700,000 to $1 million. That's at 2.69 months of supply. So just over about 10 weeks worth of inventory, less than 3 months. And in the grand scheme of things, I know that sounds like a long time, but that's actually really, really fast. Normal, even stable market status, we would be at 6 months worth of inventory with a 90-day average days on market. And as we discussed in the first half of this video, we are at about half that. Then we want to look at the $1 to $3 million price range. This, for the last couple months, had been a buyer's market. And what did I say? This price range tends to swing pretty wildly from one end of the pendulum to the other, and we're at 4.02 months of supply. It's not technically a seller's market, but at 4 months worth of inventory, you're pretty close to it. You might as well have 1 foot on each side of the fence, and so it's going to lean closer. Keep in mind, when you are looking in that price range, you do have to be a little more competitive, especially if you are closer to that $3 million price range, because the $3 million and over price range is squarely still sitting in a buyer's market at 9.48 months of supply, which is almost double what it was last year. Last year, we were at almost an even stable market for that price range, which historically speaking, that's actually pretty good. This price range, because so few people can afford things over $3 million, because of that, this is a price range that generally, historically, has a very small buyer pool. And when you have a small buyer pool, you have to make sure that those homes get sold when those people with that kind of money are in town. So January through about tax day is when they tend to be here. So my guess is those homes that haven't yet closed and made the statistics here for this month, you're going to see those close next month in May and maybe even early into June. And that's when you'll see the most of our closings this year. But then as the summer months hit, we will probably likely see this swing even further into buyer's market territory. So remember, these closed numbers of sales and prices, these are all lagging indicators of what happened about 30 days ago. So unfortunately, pulling real-time data when you don't know, and the system, our MLS, doesn't know what the contracted prices for these are, it's hard to know exactly which deals are going to fall apart, which ones won't, which ones will close, which ones won't, because those are private details between the two parties. All we get is how many went under contract, how many sold, and what they sold for in the end, if they did sell. So keep that in mind. These are all lagging indicators, but our leading indicators are usually the number of homes that go under contract, and that is still doing very well so far this month, and I expect it to do well for the next 2 to 4 weeks. If you're wondering what your home would sell for in today's market, or if you're wondering what you're up against in your price range, or even if you just need a good lender, go ahead and give me a call, 480-717-9405, or visit my website at dustymartinrealtor.com.